Hello, welcome to my channel once again, Charlie. Today I am bringing you a different video of an African American or a Black American woman who is sharing her experience moving from America to different countries, because she said she has lived in about 7 different countries, and the experience that she has gotten since she moved from America, she is saying America is not normal. But I don't want to talk plenty. Let's go into this video, watch, come back and talk.
America is not normal. America is not normal. Story time. So if you've never seen me before, I live in Tbilisi, Georgia. I left the United States in 2021. I started in Mexico, got residency, decided it wasn't the right place for me. I've lived in 7 countries. That means at least 3 months or longer. And now I'm currently in Tbilisi, Georgia. I'm actually in the laundromat here. I did a previous video about some tips, but America is not normal. And I'm gonna tell you why. So I signed a lease, kind of a long-term lease here in Tbilisi, Georgia. And I pay in cash. Well, that was before I got an account. So I'm paying in cash, and he comes to my apartment to pick it up. So when he was coming, I asked him to bring me a copy of the contract that we signed. He was like, oh, I thought I did, or whatever. He was like, okay, I don't have it with me now. I'll come by in a day or so and do it. So 2 days later, he comes by with a contract and to pick up the rent. Now, you all know as Americans, rent day is rent day. And so in my mind, I was already preparing for some type of confrontation, right? I had already decided I'm not going to pay a late fee, right? Because I had already had my explanation, my argument put together, like I was waiting on you to bring the lease. So you decided it took you that long to bring the lease, right? My whole argument, you know how we do in the United States, right? And so I'm like, I was ready to tell him I'm not going to pay a fee. And then I was thinking, well, what if he says, well, if you don't pay, then you're going to be evicted. So I'm trying to think through, okay, so how am I going to handle this situation? So anyway, he comes, he brings the contract, and I'm prepared to give him the rent. So we're downstairs, and there's a co-working space in my building on the bottom floor. So I go in there and I sit down and I say to him, I said, listen, I don't think I should have to pay a late fee because, it took you a long time to bring me the contract. I didn't say that I wasn't going to pay you the rent without the contract. I just said to bring the contract, and you decided not to come pick up the rent. So that's not my fault. He was looking at me baffled, like, what is she talking about? I was like, you don't remember this conversation? I was like, I have the notes. I have the messages on WhatsApp, so I can prove my point. And he was like, I'm not charging you late rent. I don't understand. I was like, oh, I just want to be clear because I know that there is a clause in the contract about late fees, and I don't want there to be an issue, and I don't want you sending the police and putting a note on my door and trying to evict me. He was like, evict? This man said, in my 40s, I have a family. I manage 15 properties. He said, I have never seen anyone evicted from their apartment. Never, not a friend, not a family member, not me. Never. I've never seen anyone evicted. So, y'all, I'm in shock. Because, in America, if you a couple minutes late, you got a note on your door, they done changed the locks. Listen, you out on the street. He was like, what are you, he was like, we would never do that. Like, why would we do that? I was like, so what if somebody can't pay rent? Like, what if, he said, listen, if you ever have an issue with rent, just call me and we'll figure something out. Y'all, I was blown away. I was blown away, y'all. I was baffled. The way we live in America is not normal. People are not so aggressive and disregarding your humanity. Like, he couldn't even fathom the fact that I thought he would possibly put me out of my apartment. Made no sense to him. Okay? That's number one. Number two, buying a house. I bought a house in my life. Maybe you bought a house in your life, right? You bought a house in the United States. You literally have to give them your left liver and your auntie's ear, right? Just to get to the process, just to get approved, just through the process. And you're biting your nails the whole time. You're waiting. There's all this paperwork. You got to prove that your job is good enough, that your debt to income ratio is right, yada, yada, yada. Listen, here, they have properties that you can buy as an American. Right? You want to You want to diversify your investments, which I do recommend. So let's say if I were to buy a property, and the properties here are pretty inexpensive. I'm talking about new construction. Let's say I were to buy a property for $50,000, and I have some money, but I don't want to get a loan, right? I can buy a property here. They will say, okay, it's $50,000, pay us 10% down, and we'll go ahead and do the construction. It'll take about 2 years for the property to be built. And then you just pay a certain amount of money to us every month until it's paid off within that term, and we're good. What? What about the interest rate? There's no interest. What? What about the credit check? There's no credit check. What? What about me showing proof that I have a job and that, you know, I deserve to live here and I'm not a criminal yeah, that, you know, my debt to income ratio is right. It's like, that's not how things work. So when I tell you the way that we live in America is not normal. It's not normal for someone, for the state or the government or whoever you want to call it, or the bank to take your home from you because you missed a property payment, or for the HOA to take your home because you missed a couple of HOA payments. That is not normal, y'all. That's not the real world. Now, I'm not telling you that there aren't situations where people get loans abroad and things like that. But the way that we are treated in America and the expectations that are put upon us that we think are normal, and we think we're always falling short, that we're not good enough. Oh, I don't have perfect credit. Oh, I don't have the right debt to income ratio. I've been evicted in the past, so I don't deserve to have a roof over my head. That is not how the rest of the world operates. The rest of the world doesn't think we have to prove our worth as a human being to have shelter over our heads. The way we live, well, because I'm not there no more. The way you live in America is not normal. If you've been considering leaving the United States, 1, set your leave date. 2, valid passport. 3, join my wait list and get some help. You deserve better. You deserve better. I've been gone for 3 years, and I'm never coming back.
Living in Africa, my views on race have changed and evolved a lot. I grew up in Ireland. Ireland is a very, very white country, although that is changing. Amazingly, it's getting more diverse. But growing up, I didn't have a non-white person in my class until I was 12. I remember being told growing up not to get into a car with a black taxi driver because they won't know where they're going. But I think really it was because people didn't trust black people when I was growing up, which is crazy to me now because everybody in my life right now that I trust is a black person.
See, listening to her and the reasons that she gave, these things apply to even in Ghana and most African countries. See, when you are renting and perhaps your money is not up to, or maybe your rent is due and you are supposed to renew your rent, it can even surpass maybe a month, sometimes 2 months before some people even pay. See, life is very flexible in this part of the world. And I understand because that's why I'm not surprised. I see most Americans or Europeans, whenever they come to Africa, especially Ghana, and they get to live the life and they see how life is out here, they all the time say they want to do what, move here. Because see, if you want to buy a house in Ghana, for instance, we have a lot of real estate companies. They have their terms. The one that you think fits you and you want to go buy it, they are cool with it. Sometimes you can even pay like 10%, 20%, 30% and move in. Then they will spread the rest maybe a year or 2 for you, depending on the income that you get every month. So life is very flexible out here. Life is very, very flexible out here. So I don't know why America is like that. Like it has been designed just to suppress people or to make people feel miserable of themselves or whatever. And as she was saying, just imagine when your time is due, even for a day or 2, they will just come and put the notice and just evict you, not thinking about where you are going to sleep. And America is not like Africa that living here is like you have your families, you have your uncles, so at least you can even go to your village. America is like individualism. So if you are suffering alone. It's very, very crazy. And listening to this woman clearly, Charlie, that's why I always say Ghana is one of the best places that you can, and the freedom here and the peace that you even get is even far, far, far better than America. And listening to the other lady, the white lady, she's saying when she was young, she was basically told not to trust black people. But just imagine, now she grew up, most of the people that she trusts now are mostly blacks. You see racism right there? And she has grown to realize that whatever she was told wasn't the real fact. Lord. Charlie, thank you so much for watching.